So we all remember Ninjago, right? Whether that's the show, the toys we collected as kids, or the really ugly plushies. Or maybe you just remember the intro. However you remember it, if it's not as a peak early mid-2000s show, then it's wrong. Being only the third LEGO show ever made, just behind LEGO Hero Factory and LEGO Bionicles, it was the first non-Technic show ever made, and if they wanted to match the success of the predecessors, then they'd have to think outside the box. Originally only meant for 3 years, it ended up lasting 13, with 16 seasons and a movie being made about it.
You ruined my life! How could I ruin your life? I wasn't even there!
Production started in 2009 with the screenwriters Kevin and Dan Hageman. They were told they wanted a show like Star Wars, but with ninjas, and they somehow got that idea from watching Marvel. And after 2 years of production, the first season of Ninjago was released, titled Rise of the Snakes, to mostly positive reviews. But today we're going to be looking at the golden first season, and looking at why so many people like myself enjoy it so much. The plot follows 4 ninjas, Kai being the fire type, Zane being the ice type, Cole earth, and Zane electricity, with their sensei, Wu. And also Nia, but she's not really followed as much as she is a main plot point, so we'll get more into her later. The show's about a lot of things. In fact, so many that it'll be hard to cover immediately. Just to get a bit more perspective on this show, let's do an episode play-by-play. Episode 1 is mostly an introductory one. After we see the ninjas beat up an orphan, the same orphan finds a lost snake tribe called the Hypnobrai. We also see our first sight of the Green Ninja in this episode. In episode 2, we see the first signs of Zane being different and a look into one of the many plot points which we'll look at in the future. Cole is also infected as the ninjas fight the custody ladder match for Lloyd in the jungle. Meanwhile, their house had been burning down the whole time, which genuinely felt like a major plot point despite only being in the show for about an episode. We also get to see a new snake leader getting appointed as we see our first real fight of the series, which takes place in some ice caves. The episode starts and we see even more signs of something being up with Zane, and we also get our first look at the Green Ninja and Lord Garmadon. The 2 tribes Lloyd found team up as he finds a third one, the Anacondrai, and Sensei Wu finally wins a custody match and isn't the stepfather but the father that stepped up. We start off with a good bit of character development, showing Lloyd getting along with the ninjas before Zane's pink all of a sudden, and then we find the 4th snake tribe, the Constricti. We finally see Nia whooping people, except it's a samurai and we actually don't know that it's Nia yet. We also find the 5th tribe, the Venomari. These 5 tribes are trying to work together in order to get the Fang Blades and revive the Great Devourer, which is yet another major plot point, and no segue into episode 6 because it's just a bit of filler, plus the ninjas fighting the samurai. This episode can easily be seen as the best episode of the season, simply due to how well they built up to the twist of Zane actually being a robot the whole time. We also see the snake tribes unite for the first time, and we'll get more in depth into everything later. The episodes 7 through 10 are really focused on each character individually reaching their true potential, which I will touch on in a second. This episode is a good build-up episode, but nothing really notable. The final 2 episodes, 12 and 13, are both focused on the true villain, the Great Devourer, while also giving a redemption arc to Lord Garmadon. Now that we have briefly gone through the plot, let's take a look at all the subplots that managed to simultaneously happen. So episode 1, we've been following the Green Ninja, how one was meant to rise above all and become the Green Ninja, and let's be honest, we all thought it was Kai growing up. A no-good kid who started the Snake Uprising, a kid who just wanted freeze-dried Skittles from the TikTok shop, which leads us to our next subplot. Lloyd started the series off as an annoying little edgelord who just tried a little too hard to look like a villain, doing harmless stuff like stealing rare candy. That was until he actually started doing bad things, like threatening genocide and to revive an ancient evil civilization.
Give me your candy, or else I'll release the serpentine on you!
After doing heaps of damage and being brought in by his uncle, Sensei Wu, Lloyd was seen as a chosen one, and after nearly dying and being rescued by Kai in the 10th episode, he was no longer the annoying brat that we all knew in the first episode. The ninjas first found out about true potential when Zane protected them all from this creature thingy by becoming an NRG form, which, by the way, I have all 4 of. Zane had the lamest of the 4, but I had to put it anyway. Next was Cole, who got an entire episode dedicated where he tries to impress his father by becoming a singer. This was in order to win the Fang Blade, but he ends up getting disowned because he basically tried to steal it. Cole decides to actually perform by using Spin Jitsu, and his performance ends up winning, although he doesn't actually discover his true potential until his father is nearly killed and he has to save him. She's kidnapped and then put on some sort of flame wheel, and then Jay just discovers it mid-convo, and boom, Nia is saved. The whole time, however, Kai had been struggling to find his true potential and had been debating with himself on whether or not he was worthy of one. He basically jumped Garmadon for no reason, hoping to find it. He never does until episode 10, where he ends up finding it by putting pride aside and rescuing Lloyd from an active volcano. We see the first signs of Nia as a samurai when she saves the ninjas from a snake attack and is then used as an attraction to fight against them. While a short subplot only lasting a few interactions, Nia being a secret samurai and helping out the ninjas on multiple occasions before being revealed to be Nia is still a well done twist. Zane being a robot is a key memory of all of our childhoods. It's up there along with finding out that Megalodons went extinct, and also the adult equivalent of finding out that Joe Rogan and Dana White aren't the same people. In my opinion, it was one of the best twists in TV history, let alone cartoon history. The way they built up to it by slowly teasing things that were different about Zane, like making him pink for a bit, making him do things differently, the lack of a family, the bird that was always throughout the series. The way they revealed it by showing his upbringing, aka him being built and raised before having his memory switch reset, while also showing his father passing and revealing his true potential all in the same episode. It just speaks everything about Zane, making him yet another great character by Cartoon Network that was ice themed. In my opinion, the snakes carried the empty parts of the show and made great transitions. Showing the first battle when Scales claimed the SCFA title, or the Snakes Cave Fighting Association. Lloyd played a key part in the uprising and actually found the snakes doing most of the work in bringing them together. Most of them ended up betraying Lloyd to find the lost city of Ouroboros, which is actually kinda funny. Final of the subplots is the redemption of Lord Garmadon. It was established in the first episode that he was set to be defeated in the final battle by the Green Ninja, which later ended up being his son, Lloyd. Before we knew that, we saw Garmadon turn out to be Wu's brother, who was turned evil accidentally after Wu made him get bit by a snake instead of him, which slowly consumed him with evil. There was numerous points in the series where Garmadon showed signs of having ill intention, even as late as in the final episode. In this episode, he ends up saving the city and reverted back to his self many years later. Overall, the first season of Ninjago was a masterpiece, following so many character development arcs, subplots, and never finding itself being dull or adding filler episodes. Never have I seen a kid's show or cartoon manage to keep such a silly tone while also remaining serious. There was many things that made it so good that I didn't even have time to touch on, such as Jay's relationship building with his parents over time, the internal conflict between the snake tribes, how it managed to make a sense of urgency and create a point where you seriously don't know what will happen next. Every episode is fantastic, and I definitely recommend a watch. You can find the entire first season on YouTube, and even a few seasons too. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you enjoyed this style of video. If so, I have a few more planned, and even one up on Shaolin Soccer. Please leave a like, subscribe, and goodbye.